Good afternoon. I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. It's Monday, September 22nd. News today, Jason Rapert, senator from Conway, is in the news. We've learned from a confidential source that Rapert reached out to multiple members of the Arkansas Supreme Court to talk about the pending appeal in the same-sex marriage case. Rapert is a foe of it. Ray has threatened intimidation tactics against judges who rule in a way he doesn't like. He likes the same-sex marriage ban. It's legal for Jason Rapert to talk to whoever he wants to, but it's highly irregular to have judges talk to anybody who's not a party to a case, and then when all the parties are present. This has been the subject of a complaint filed with the Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission, who talked to Rapert, and what they said is going to be a very interesting answer from this investigation. Otherwise, Friday, it's several days late, but I might mention that the two candidates for governor, Asa Hutchinson, the Republican, and Mike Ross, the Democrat, debated on statewide TV Friday. I think the short take is that, particularly from the point of view of people who lean somewhat in the Democratic direction, that Mike Ross was a victor on points in terms of substance, whether it was on private option, minimum wage, education, or some other issues. But Asa Hutchinson, who's running for statewide office for the fourth time, perhaps has learned a little bit in the course of those races and struck a lot of people, even Democratic watchers, as being a little bit more likable. Mike Ross maybe is trying too hard. We shall see as the final weeks play out. Other news in Arkansas today, they broke ground on the $1.3 billion Big River Steel Mill in Osceola, a huge state investment, the biggest state investment ever in an economic development project. The state health department reports that one case of enterovirus has been confirmed in Arkansas. Other samples are out being tested. There may yet be more. Other election news includes finally some discussion about some of the ballot initiatives that voters will consider in November. One is not called a term limits ballot. In fact, you might believe that it's about setting term limits, but in fact, a ballot measure that toughens state ethics rules does weaken term limits, and term limit supporters are unhappy about it. They're circling the state with a Trojan horse figure to signify that this amendment carries bad news. That is, the ability for a legislator to serve 16 years in a single chamber of the House. That effectively negates term limits in terms of building the power of incumbency. So you might want to look out for issue 3 on the ballot. Issue 1, another legislative amendment that would tremendously increase the power of the legislature by giving it essentially a veto power over state executive agency rulemaking, is also finally getting some deserved discussion. We already have a legislature that's too powerful and essentially a weak governor because a veto can be overridden by a simple majority vote. It's my view we don't need to give the legislature still more power. Other news, Blue Hog Report, the indomitable muckraking blogger and lawyer Matt Campbell has more reporting on the famous Stacey Hurst case. She's the Republican candidate for State House who's tried to make an issue out of the nursery school enrollment of her opponent, Clark Tucker. Blue Hog has put together a massive document dump from a Freedom of Information Act request, and it looks like there was sort of an effort involving members of the Little Rock School Board who support Stacey Hurst to set up Clark Tucker. It's a messy, smelly business. Finally, they turned in enough signatures Saturday in Fayetteville to refer to voters Fayetteville's historic civil rights ordinance that would protect all sorts of people, but particularly gay people, and that's what has church groups upset. Do they really want to repeal a civil rights ordinance? It has a funny ring to it to me. I'm Max Brantley, and that's all for today. I'll be back tomorrow.